Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to talk about gearing once you hit level 80, how you can get yourself to 740 as quick as possible, the best and most optimal ways to gear per bracket, and then we'll talk about some of the best ways to farm gear at certain brackets. So we're going to cover basically at what point you should transition to new different types of content, and then we will talk about some of the best methods of farming gear throughout Legion. So starting with what to do once you hit level 80. Well, it's pretty straightforward actually. Continue questing. Continue questing on your character, whether it's world quests or zone quests. You want to still do them, largely to get your infinite knowledge achievements, but also because you want to get your item level up to about 584. Once your character is at item level 584, we're going to head back to Eternus and start to do some other content. But for now, just keep questing. You should still have plenty of quests left, and you'll want to finish them anyway. And by doing those quests, you will pick up gear to get you to 584, but also lots of Motes of Broken time, which we're going to talk about just now. But for now, make sure that you quest till 584. Any infinite research quests that you do along the way and any chests that you do along the way, you should leave so that you can pick them up at 584. So if you finish them, great, but pick them up at 584 item level. You are going to feel slightly weaker at level 80 than you did previously. And this is generally because the scaling is kicking in. In terms of heroic world tier, you don't want to do anything until you get into the 600s generally, unless you've been handling it fairly easily due to your infinite knowledge if you're playing on an alt, etc. But don't switch to heroic world tier either. So once you get to 580, things are going to change a little bit for you. So once you get to 580, there's a couple crucial things that you need to start doing. So firstly, when you get to 580, the number one and most important thing is you must start making sure that you do your dailies. You want to make sure that you're doing your infinite research. You want to make sure that you are doing your daily raid finders. You want to make sure that you are doing your daily dungeon bonuses. There's a lot of reasons for this, but the bronze, the infinite caches are super important because they give you motes. And motes are super duper important. At this time as well, you are going to want to also, at 580, shift to heroic world tier. The reason for this is quite simple. You're now strong enough to handle heroic world tier on most classes, and since you can, you're going to increase your bronze and mote gain. See, being in heroic world tier will give you motes just from defeating mobs, which is super duper important. And then of course it will augment your quest rewards and your world quest rewards as well. So we again want to make sure we're in heroic world tier. At 580, doing your dungeons, your dailies, your raids is your starting point to moving on to the higher item levels. But we're going to talk about the major points for higher item levels next. But at 580, you're now ready to switch to heroic world tier. You're ready to start spamming your dailies, but don't forget to quest. It's super important. So we're talking about gearing, and yes, at 580 we can start doing our dailies and we can start doing our content, but what is the actual best way for us to level up our gear and to get going? Well, motes are the best way. Motes are the best method because motes guarantee you a item upgrade level. So for example, when you get enough motes, you can combine them to guarantee you a random item upgrade essentially. So farming motes as quickly as possible is essentially the best way to gearing up your character. Now, farming motes, you can see on the right hand side, is super duper crucial. You can see all the methods on the right hand side. At 580, you can start to farm motes, doing your dailies, doing your raids. What's super important to understand is that the different difficulty of raids do not affect the gear that drops. The difficulties of raid and content merely affects motes, the amount of motes that you get, and merely affects the bronze and infinite power that drops. Does not affect your gear that you obtain. So you can see on the right hand side, cache of infinite treasures gives you 1 to 2, open world if you're on heroic world tier gives you more, dungeons gives you more, heroic, mythic, But the best way of farming your gear is going to be Mythic and Mythic Plus. And we're going to talk specifically about 2 dungeons in general that are going to be your best method. So in terms of Mythic Plus, as you can see, Mythic Plus gives you additional motes based on the level of key that you're doing. Plus 2 keys gives around 10, plus 30 gives around upwards of 50. The faster you can do these, the better you are going to do. Now, in terms of the best Mythic Plus dungeons to do for gearing, it's going to be the Archway dungeon, and it's going to be the Neltharian's Lair dungeon. So these are super important for a lot of reasons. They are super quick. So the Archway is incredibly quick if you have a group that knows what they're doing or has decent gear. And the Neltharian's Lair is also super quick. And you're going to want to do these on Mythic Plus. So you're going to want to go to pre-made groups. You're going to want to go to dungeons. And you're going to want to start finding a group. Basically, as long as you can clear the Mythic, it doesn't really matter which one you do. But scaling Mythic Plus gear is going to be very important. But before you get there, you are going to have to get to around 620-ish item level to start really doing Mythic Plus, because it's not quite the same as your retail WoW. So to get to that 620, you're going to have to basically spam your dailies and go and do your various raids, which we'll talk about now. So getting to 620, how do we get to 610, 620? Well, you grind, you do your dailies, and you get yourself to around about 610, and then you're able to be kind of accepted into your normal and heroic level raids. So you'll go click I, go to your raids, and start to enter your various raids. Your Halls of Valor, your Trials of Valor, your, different raids that have already come out, so your Emerald Nightmare, etc. And by doing this, basically, you can start to accelerate your gear gain, because doing your dailies through your raid and dungeon finder is more than fine, but you're not doing enough content to really accelerate your gear gain. Remember, raids lock out daily, so the more you do, the better it's going to be. Once you get to 610, you can then push on to 620, and at 620 you're going to be able to start being invited into your mythics. Now, most people nowadays are looking more for the 700s for mythic quick runs, but you can definitely form a group, and if you find good enough players, do your own mythic level raids at about 620, 630. And this is crucial because then you can really push yourself to start moving into Mythic Plus. So we spoke about Mythic Plus, but basically Mythic Plus, as we already mentioned, is the best way. But once you as a player get to around about item level 680 to 700, you can actually just start soloing Mythic Plus on your own. So you won't need other players, you won't need other players to help you. You can just start to solo it, and then in doing so you can quickly ramp up your mote gain, and in doing so ramp up your gear. So that's basically how it is. Getting gear is actually not the most important thing in Legion. We'll talk about that in another video, but I'll wrap up a little bit with the gear. But basically you'll be able to get yourself up to speed with gear quite easily if you're just doing your dailies, doing your infinite research. You don't even have to go through intensive measures, but if you want to farm it, it's there for you. Just one special mention, every day you can also speak to Linda Morutu here in the Timeless Bazaar. And if you speak to her, you can take this quest, Make Haste Not Waste, and this will actually always give you a upgraded ring. So you will always get an upgraded ring. It's a small way to just improve your item level, so always remember to grab that. So that's it from me. The final thoughts from me are obviously that the gear is one aspect of gaining your power in Legion, but it's not the only aspect. And what's important to take note is that even though gear has a sizable effect in Legion, it's not the most important. Gear caps at 740. You can cap your gear right now, but the majority of your power is going to come from your limits unbound and is going to come from your infinite power gain in terms of raw stats. So although gear is cool and does have an effect, it's not the most important that you are going to experience. But that's it from me. See you guys next time. Bye.